Now, 60 years ago, the BBC broadcast a programme looking at the future of the British countryside. At the time, people living in towns and cities had long been enjoying the benefits of mains electricity and water. But in many rural areas, those amenities were still some way off. Well, the BBC went to the Devon village of Iddesleigh to examine the difference between town and country.
Well, 60 years after it was first broadcast, we put on a special screening of the film in the village hall for the current residents. And over the next 4 nights, Justin will be looking at how life has changed, starting with the arrival of mains water.
The 1950s was a time of radical change in British rural life. The BBC examined those changes by following the lives of villagers in Iddesleigh.
But what is happening in the quiet backwaters, in places which never get into the news, the sleepy hollows of rural England, which seem to be so remote from those teeming ant-heaps we call towns and cities? Is the modern fever of change and restlessness touching the lives of country folk? Are they content with their lot, or are they still being lured away to the towns?
Modes of transport may have changed a little bit, but quite a lot is still familiar, isn't it? BBC reporter Robert Reid came here in 1952, and when he returned in 1958, he caught up with the Warren family, who were keen to show him their latest state-of-the-art labour-saving device.
The miracle of a tap and running water has now come to families like the Warrens.
Well, this is a very big difference from when we were here last, Mrs. Warren.
Oh, yes, we've got plenty of water now. Just make you a cup of tea.
Well, that's very nice. Look, having water laid on in the house must have made an enormous difference in running the place, hasn't it?
Oh, it has. Enormous. You never believe the difference it's made to all the work. You do it in about half the time now.
Now, what about things like washing clothes and having baths and so on?
Oh, my goodness, you don't know the difference we get. We just turn the tap and use as much as ever we want. It was just too terrible before.
And you've never had
I've
water?
never had it in my life before, not being able to turn the tap and use just as much as ever I wanted.
Jennifer, you've got to, what is it, about another 3 years to go to school?
Yes, that's right.
Have you made up your mind yet what you'd like to do when you leave school?
Well, I think I'd be like a, shorthand typist, like a secretary then, really.
But where could you find a job here in Iddesleigh?
Oh, I couldn't find it in Iddesleigh. We'd have to go to Exeter.
All the way to Exeter?
Yes.
Well, would your mummy and daddy let you do that?
Oh, I reckon so.
So, Jennifer, did you make it to Exeter?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do?
I didn't become a secretary or a shorthand typist. I became an agent for a finance company instead.
And tell us a bit about life back in Iddesleigh when that film was made. What do you remember of life back then?
I remember being free. We could go where we wanted without any worries. I don't remember it being a hardship, not having water or electricity or anything like that, but just a happy childhood.
There seemed to be great excitement in the house, though, when that water was connected. Your mum in particular. What are your memories of the water being connected and the difference it made to the family?
Probably just keep going and turning the tap on to make sure it worked all the time. Obviously, it made a lot of difference, more to mum than me. Mum ran the house. I just be a child.
There was a lot of talk back in the 1959 film about the future and about encouraging young people to stay. I mean, if there isn't that next generation here, what does the future hold?
It's not going to die. I mean, okay, we've lost our post office, we've lost our shop, but we've still got the pub and the church.
Yes.
But I don't know where it's going to go. I really don't know where it's going to go. I think it's just going to be a sleepy village that people come to because they want peace and quiet and beautiful countryside.
And they certainly have that in Iddesleigh, the same as it's always been, apart from a few more modern conveniences. 60 years ago, mains water had arrived, but as we'll see tomorrow, mains electricity was still some way off.